Okay, take a seat. We're gonna start. Take a seat. We're gonna start.
Hello.
Gotta start. It's the countdown.
It's
thing.
time?
That means we gotta
It's time to start. Oh, shoot. Everybody.
Yeah.
Welcome. Welcome to 7 high quality ripping live. Let's do it. Let's do it. We have a panel prepared for all of you. It's all about SiIvaGunner. High quality ripping. We've got a professional ripper right here, Retro Gaming. We've got some experts. We've got all kinds of professionals up here in the high quality ripping universe, the entire galaxy. We're gonna start out by introducing our ripper for today. He's going to make the rip. He's going to do an excellent job. Let's get a welcome for Retro Gaming. He's gonna introduce himself.
Yo, what's up, guys? I'm Retro Gaming. How's it going, guys? How are we all feeling this morning?
Yeah.
We want to go down the list of introductions?
Yeah. So Retro Gaming, can you please tell us a little bit about what you do on the channel, maybe how you got involved, and your favorite SiIvaGunner source?
Well, I found out about SiIvaGunner late 2016, basically right around when the channel ended, but I didn't actually join Team until March 2019 as a ripper. I was submitting a lot of rips for about 2-3 years after that, and then I joined QOC to help with management of quality control of the rips. And then last year, around this time actually, I joined Backroom to help with the general channel management. You might know me for Bone Trousel Nintendo Switch version, which is a mashup of Bone Trousel and Nokia Arabic ringtone. And my favorite source is Hot Cross Buns.
Let's get some claps for Hot Cross Buns.
Yeah.
Hot Cross Buns, shout out. Next up.
Madden?
No, it's Madden? And it's you.
What about Madden?
Okay, Madden.
Oh,
Madden, please introduce yourself.
It's me now.
It's you.
I'm Madden Stance. I've been around the channel for a good bit. I joined the team back in around 2021. Joined Backroom, actually, at this very convention last year.
Shout out to MAGFest. Let's get a round of applause for MAGFest.
Shout out to MAGFest. Let's rock it on, guys.
Since I've been part of a bunch of projects, I'm lead organizer of the SiIvaCraft albums. I did a lot of work for CCC11 in the music department, and was one of the contributors to the recent ARG, which people might
Check out the ARG.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, very much do that.
And
I'd eat 'em.
one of my favorite sources on SiIvaGunner proper is just whenever people do really long, ambitious arrangements. That's one of my favorite types of rips, and I always respect it.
Nice.
Yes, very cool. He-Boy-I. We've got He-Boy-I here. He's a legend. He's a beast when it comes to high quality ripping. So He-Boy-I, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm He-Boy-I. I started watching Siva around 2017. I started making rips around like 2020 and joined the team in 2021. Got Backroom a couple of years ago. And oh man, I make the funny ones.
True.
The ones that you think are funny.
Yes.
Any ones you don't think are funny, I didn't make those. And I also was the one who came up with the idea for our most recent April Fools. If you loved that one.
Check out our previous April Fool's prank. It was epic, and that was his idea. So shout outs.
And my
favorite source.
And my favorite source, it's got to be Watch Me. Watch Me Whip.
Can we get a whip? Can we get a whip, Nene? From the audience.
All right. Adam, you want to go next?
Sure, I can go next. Hi, I am Adam. I am a contributor to the channel, part of Backroom. I got really interested in the channel when I think I was on SoundCloud back in the day. There was some kind of, I don't think it was a rip, but someone combined the gym theme from Pokemon Black and White with the Flintstones. And it literally blew my mind. And I was like, I need to figure out how this was done. This is magic. And from then it's been, I love it. I was so interested in the inner workings and like how it's done, which is perfect because this panel is all about how rips are made. And as for my favorite source, I'm going to go with The Nut Shack is a classic. It's a classic. Let's get the Nut Shack from everybody. Just kidding. And I also like AAA, if you've seen Charlie the Steak. It's really epic. All right. Next, we've got Omni.
Hi.
Omni, can you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Hello, I'm Omni. I've been making videos online, YTP, YTPMV, since 2007. I joined SiIvaGunner after my friend Zarable, one of the first people on the channel, was like, haha, we're doing a funny channel. Can you send me some things you made? And then I took the Cave of Bad Dreams from Raymond too, and I stripped all the sound effects except for the maracas, and I called it The Cave, because there's no bad dream. And then I've joined the team later on, very early. My favorite source in SiIvaGunner is anytime people use any of the old YTP jokes, because I'm stuck in like late 2000s. So anything with that, I'm really into. Thanks for coming. And next goes Larry.
Hello, I'm Larrying64. I've been making rips since before SiIvaGunner was a thing on my own channel in 2015, and through doing that, I made a lot of like Beatles stuff, and through doing that, I got into the SiIvaGunner sphere and met a lot of people, and eventually got on the team. I've been around. I've been pretty active in art team. I was the art director for both King for a Day events. I put together the Lonely Rips Club Band album, and I have like about 100 rips on the channel, and I've been going to MAGFest and helping with all the stuff here since 2018. I was the producer for the Chip Space show last year, and we have another one coming up later today as well.
Please check it out. It's going to be so good.
You're going to
Please.
love it.
Please go to it. What
And-
time is it?
It's in 2.
2.
2 to 4, Chip
Check it out,
Space.
please.
Yeah, 2 to 4. And also my favorite source is Beatles. I will cram everything.
Yeah, the Beatles.
The Beatles.
Yeah.
The Beatles.
My favorite rip is A Day in the Snow, where I took the Snow Halation and recreated like 8 songs from Sgt. Pepper, changed the chords to Snow Halation, and made a big medley.
They're just a band.
That's amazing. That is really,
Having a thrash.
really, really epic. So we're going to go a little bit into Omni has sort of an explanation on what actually is a rip.
Right, so just clearing out, first of all, we have to establish what a rip even is. And I figured what I'll do is I'll explain from a technical and then from a cultural perspective. First of all, what the term rip is from the act of extracting audio or extracting media from platform mediums of multimedia, right? So like from a CD, from a VHS, from a Betacam, from a U-Matic, whatever. If you extract media off of it, then you're ripping it. That's the original term. Now, the reason we're using the term rips is because, for those who don't know, I mean, this goes way back. We're kind of parodying off a channel called SiIvaGunner that would upload high quality video game rips. Okay, just songs from video games, soundtracks and etc. And the reason we call them rips is because he had a very formulaic way of uploading his videos. He would always say in the description, I only upload high quality video game rips. Maybe to establish, his narrative and etc., whatever, to introduce. And so we thought it was funny if we just kept saying I only upload video game rips to kind of bait and switch, which is a lot of the type of humor that the channel relies on. We figured we were going to use the term as well. And that so becomes this term, a colloquial term between the community. When you say high quality rip, it actually means it's like a funny edit or a remix or whatever. The term rip, we just shot a video and that's going to be a rip, okay? Anyway, the term rip is very broad at this point. I think the rips on SiIvaGunner kind of like ride on this remix culture that goes way back. The reason I think the channel grew really, really fast is due to it being very accessible. When you have fans of video game music kind of like say, oh, I love the song from Ottifanten on the GBC, or I want to like mash it up with something. Okay, sure. You open up a DAW, it's really easy to kind of start. And so the channel kind of like blew up a little after, shortly after forming.
Yeah, so you'll see in the bottom right here, we've got 2 QR codes. Check out the game vote form for now. It will make sense what it is. I'll just explain. Okay, so the game vote form, we're going to be ripping a song live. It's a list of potential games. You guys pick which one we are going to do. So check out the forum. There's a list of options. It's like Super Mario World. It's what else is on there?
There's like Sonic 1. I really should have pulled up the list.
You'll see it. You'll check it out.
You'll see the
it.
list once we
It's-
get
yeah.
the QR code bigger.
What's up?
Do they both go to Q&A?
There's also
We'll get the QR codes bigger in a second, so they're different.
Okay, gotcha.
yeah, and there's also a URL you
can-
can go to as well when we get there. So
Yeah. Okay, hold off on that then.
both go to the same.
We've got art and we've got merch here in SiIvaGunner.
I could tie in
I'll-
this slide if I'll just introduce it. So like, basically, just to finish off the introduction to the channel, after years of uploading just funny haha edits, we've kind of figured we got a little bored with that, and we started branching off. Our team honed their craft, started attracting very talented people that you see here and in the front row. A lot of people came in and they said, well, how can we innovate on that format of like haha edits? And so we've started making original remixes, original arrangements of tracks, collaboration albums. We've established a complete art team and a collaborations kind of like with other producers from outside, and many other collaborative and otherwise like just large scale projects. You can see some of them here, animations. We have lore to the channel, a lot of cool stuff. Larry is actually the head of our team. So
I'm
us
one
a
of
little
the. I've headed a lot of art team projects, and over the years, we've really just like a lot of us started as just like high schoolers in our bedrooms making stuff, but the channel has really pushed a lot of us to learn and grow all of our skills. I did not know anything about music theory before I started making rips, and now I've done like professional work and things. We have art. We also have the art team, because not just trying to recreate high quality video game rips. We also do like logo swaps and mimic art styles. We have these things called fusion collabs, where they're always like audio and visual, where we remake logos to make them say different things, or go all out. There was the Carol Men Dancin' fusion collab, where we had like full animation, or the
Shop Fusion.
Yeah, the shop fusion collab.
Shop Fusion is awesome. Check that out.
Yeah.
Please check it out.
And the Christmas Comeback Crisis, we're very busy, and there's just a lot that goes into these projects. And also, on the same slide too, at the Chip Space booth, we have merch.
Yep.
Stocks are limited. I helped put a lot of it together, but we have plushes and keychains. and
proceeds
stuff.
go for funding future projects, by
Yeah,
the way,
future
strictly. So
Future projects, and sometimes we do charity drives and stuff where we like to just donate.
we don't pocket anything. This is,
Yeah.
again, very derivative work. We like to kind of either give back to community or give in general. So
Yeah.
just gonna mention that. Right before we jump into the actual ripping, and I'll have you the mic, I just want to segue it by saying, so what we're going to talk about while ripping is a little bit of the technical aspect, but also our internal work pipeline, right? Because at this point, I think we've already had a couple of ripping panels, and we explained, okay, you go to the original console hardware and you're trying to extract the different channels. Oh, now you have the separate channels, you have the separate stems. Now I can, pitch shift or recreate the melody to be the Flintstones theme, But we've already talked a little bit about that. We will go a little bit into more detail about the inner workings and how the structure is. We have our own system to make sure rips are well made. How do we get a feedback kind of like to rippers? At this point, we're a very large team. There's a lot of volunteers making content for the channels as a community channel thing. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but we'll do that once we introduce how the live ripping works, because that's what you're here for.
Yes,
And you
yes.
got to get a part in that. So go ahead.
Okay. I got to update the slide. Okay. We have removed.
Hashtag rips.
Does this QR code work? Who?
Don't worry about it, guys. We're getting it working.
Okay.
And
It does not work? Delete the QR code. Don't even have it on there. Go to the CG Mag, that link. It has both of them.
It's sgmag.card.co. There's no M. It's
I'll close the. Hold
yeah.
on.
There
we go.
You can see it better
There we
there.
go.
Just go to the card. It has both of them. Yeah, go there.
Basically, you're getting to
not?
vote on what our fellows here are going to rip live. So you can see the magic happening while we yap about what they're doing and commentating like it's a speed run. It looks like he's opening the stems right now, and he's going to go for the Soldier Boy skip. Make sure to vote for something funny.
Yeah.
Don't vote for something not funny. It'll be boring.
The games available are Earthbound, Kirby 64, Mother 3, Pokemon Black and White, Sonic the Hedgehog, Super Mario 64, Super Mario World, and Tomodachi Collection. Scroll down. Is it not showing more? Oh, it's just maybe for the link, do the desktop site. I think we didn't test the mobile one.
Crud, man, I hate computers. If it's not working, we're just gonna do a vote of hands.
I think the game is working. Now the Q&A has a problem. But
Okay, then what? I'm gonna do an executive call here. Okay, just because computers are not reliable, I'm telling you, they're not gonna stick around. These computers. We'll do a show of hands. Let me get the list of
we've
games.
got a vote. We got it. I think we have.
Do we have a vote?
The game vote is working, right? You guys have access to that?
Oh,
Okay, cool.
There we go.
I think the Q&A link on the card is the same as the game as well.
Yeah.
But
Well-
we'll get that sorted. For now,
Advantage you.
vote on the game.
We only post high quality links.
Yeah. You know, it would not be a panel of ours without like a little flub.
Yeah.
So all good.
I don't know who was here for the very first panel where we did like a Weezer type photo over there at the back. We were like, it was a lot more messy, but
It's not working.
now
Yeah.
we're a lot more prepared. And even though you can't
You
help but
look
run
into-
into these issues
No
sometimes.
matter how much you prepare.
we're all hobbyists, but through doing the channel and stuff, we've really like grown into working our skills. I mean, I guess the next thing we have to work on is website development, but
If you need a website, why not build one yourself?
yeah.
What's up, Snake Man? Oh, yeah, I can't hear you.
Yeah. Just one more minute on it. We're
Who's
also
not
looking
voted
something
yet?
up.
Raise your hand.
Everyone voted.
Torges, vote faster. Okay, votes are in. I count the votes. How do you count the votes? I don't even know. Just count them.
Very quiet, that's why.
Once we get the votes in, we're gonna start working on the rip, and then kind of like explain more technical stuff that
Yeah.
I don't want to bore you with.
And soon we can get questions going.
You can just
What that means.
Should we start doing questions soon?
Send me a
Is
DM.
that good to go? Well, I guess they're a little preoccupied by something.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's up? Are we
Are
going to get started?
Yeah,
Can we get some questions rolling soon?
Sure.
Yeah, we should get questions on.
Yeah. Let's get a. You know what? Sure.
End of the mic.
Okay. Who asked this?
I don't know.
Hey, I'm
Read the
not. I'm
question.
not asking you. Evan W. Bush asks, "What is the most difficult console/handheld to rip?"
That's easily the GBA.
Oh.
GBA is very finicky because you have to.
well-
and I just hate working with having to bother with like the MIDI. When I'm working on GBA, one thing that
What would I say to that?
bothers me is the vibrato, reverb, and effects instructions never convert one-to-one. They're always janky. That's why there still doesn't exist a good rip of Wario Land 4 soundtrack because the effects go crazy, for example.
Yeah.
And it pisses me off.
Yeah.
In terms of if you want to go for like
I-
the exact like one-to-one, but maybe there's a difficult one.
Yeah, I think like a difficult thing to rip for people who aren't as well versed in the tools is the Sega Genesis as well, just because there's not really an easy way to just get the instruments out of the game and into something editable without going through like trackers or complex VSTs. It's possible and people do it, but it's
Yeah,
just
by
it's a-
handheld.
Yeah,
Well-
at least we can do it.
I think like with hardest console to rip, hardest handheld, it's very up to like what the ripper does and like what they're comfortable with. Like me personally, I have a lot of fun ripping SNES, but SNES has a lot of parameters and a lot of like data that you have to copy from external software. And that can be really annoying. And there's like weird things you have to do to the data to get it quite right. Or like if you're making an NES rip, it's usually best to use like FamiTracker to use like a tracker software. But a lot of rippers are not like familiar with how to use a tracker. It's very different from something like FL Studio, which you're going to see, which uses a piano roll and note placement. So really, like I think like hardest, it's really kind of subjective because everyone has their own sort of preferences.
It just depends on your workflow.
GBA
Yeah,
is
it's 100%
really annoying.
variable.
I would personally say I don't want to rip GBA.
And ultimately, like some things, it's just there's always kind of a way you can manipulate audio or inject a sequence in like something filtered out. Like I did a Beatles rip where I just recreated like an actual like live band in FL Studio to get them as the sound with a lot of sampling and everything. And I got the Beatles sound font. There's always like a way to do something, but sometimes like maybe it's something obscure as if it's a console no one cares about. There might not be like a lot of tools
The
for it.
Gamescom.
Yeah, like the game.com or something like
Yeah,
that.
we're ripping the Gamescom tonight.
We are going to
Yeah.
pivot. We are going to pivot. We have this is set up, right? We're ready to move over?
We are ready over here.
Watch this. This is going to be really cool. I'm going to switch the screen. Oh my gosh. Look at that.
My
Welcome.
God. Look at that.
Shout out,
Welcome
shout
to
out
FL
to Mag
Studio,
staff.
guys.
Shout out to staff,
This
man. They
is
hooked us
FL
up.
Studio. Welcome to FL Studio. This is a rip. Or is it? Is it a rip?
Well, I can
not
make
rip
one.
yet.
Okay, let's check it out.
Here comes
Wait,
the
wait,
rip,
wait.
guys.
Let's first say which rip are we doing.
Well, we're demoing a few projects to show people what a general project file looks like for different systems. Then we're moving to the rip. So we have not decided yet.
You guys
Stay
like
tuned.
Granddad?
Wait, we're getting some epic.
So you're about to hear it.
Are you guys good to continue working for now?
What do you mean?
Are you like gonna continue working?
We do probably during the rip. We're gonna see how.
When you make Flintstones rips for almost 10 years, you
hear it.
kind of get those notes ingrained in your brain.
Here it comes.
LOL!
It's that simple. That's a panel. We did it, guys. We did it.
Thanks everyone for coming out.
There we go.
Oh my god!
That was really good.
Oh my god, Flintstone!
So this
And
is
time.
SNES. SNES
Yeah,
rip.
SNES
Let's check
ripping.
out what's going on here.
all right. Well, first we get all the bullshit out of the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so for SNES ripping, not everybody does this, but the general standardized way that everybody uses it is we have this program, this plugin for FL Studio called C700, which can pretty well accurately replicate the sound chip of the SNES hardware. It requires a bit of finickiness, and yes, you need to use a calculator, which is not very fun.
true.
But
Programming
Just math.
calculator.
yes, the programming calculator. So if you like hexadecimal codes, you can enter those in, and it's kind of
Can we
boring.
get 2
It's kind
class
of
for
like an
hex?
AR. It's
Yeah,
kind
can
of
we
like
get
an
some claps for
ARG if you
SNES
love
ripping,
those.
please, guys? It is a thankless job for this one, but
tough
at the end of
work.
the day, it sounds pretty goddamn accurate.
Yeah.
Which is all we really
gets,
want.
It gets the sort of like echoey reverb that the
Yeah.
SNES has.
The
really
song doesn't really have it,
great.
but I mean, I could just toggle it on right now as a demonstration. Can't really hear it, but it's okay because it is there.
Yes. All right. What are you showing us next? Retro gaming.
Well, we can switch on over to a Genesis project file I have.
The
right
Sega
here.
Genesis got everybody.
Yep. So we have Green Hill Zone right here.
A little closer to the mic.
Could you move a little closer to the
Oh
mic?
yeah. So we got Green Hill Zone right here, which is Sonic Song, in case you weren't aware.
Who's that?
That was Sonic.
That was Sonic.
It's a bit
Oh my
loud,
gosh.
but that's okay.
This one's louder.
It is
Louder.
very loud. We're gonna turn that down a bit, guys.
Let's turn it into Sonic.
I thought we were done with it.
We good with volume, guys?
I like it.
We'll get there.
All right. So similar to the Super Nintendo. Okay. Similar to the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis also has its own proprietary VST that you can use to emulate its sounds. In this case, it is called Jenny. I'm weird. I pronounce it Genny,
That makes
but
sense.
I will say Jenny for this because it's correct. So yeah, Jenny allows you to load in a BGM file, which is how Genesis songs are usually stored and ripped online. And from that, you can extract the instruments from them and easily load them in. The VST also contains a lot of hardware accurate things for Sega Genesis, like for instance, audio panning, which is if it's in your left speaker and your right, by how much. It can only either be 100% in your left speaker, 100% in your right speaker, or 50% in both. I believe.
Yeah, that's relatively weird.
Yeah, relatively.
It really shows on the Alien Soldier soundtrack.
You really notice how it looks like a NASA panel, like
It-
we're launching a missile. but
You
you get
don't
used
touch
to it.
most of it. You
Yeah,
don't
that
touch
is
most of it.
really a common theme with a lot of programs that we use, is that everything looks really complicated and it probably doesn't need to be, but it's
Yeah.
okay.
You
There's
really
like
cool.
2 buttons you touch
It
usually.
Yeah,
makes
you
us
don't
look
touch
like
most
we're
of it.
like freaking awesome for this, but realistically, we drop in a file and change some stuff. All right,
Yeah.
what do you got next for us, retro gaming? What are we looking at?
We're going to check out DS.
The Nintendo DS.
I've got a really cool song here for you guys.
And also with a lot of these too, like these VSTs are for some of the best accuracy, but they're not the only way to get the sounds. Sometimes, like in the past, I did a lot of like creative sampling to do Genesis
True.
stuff before I figured out the VSTs. There's a lot of different ways to go about it. Just if you really want the most high quality rips, you really got to get the most accurate. to get
Yeah.
all the,
That's true. That's
Yeah,
what we're about here.
everybody approaches ripping differently and always can be valid in their own methods.
Even in Sony Vegas.
Yes, yes,
Sony Vegas, everybody.
yeah.
I feel so validated right now, man. Goddamn. Okay.
So DS is relatively simple. You can basically just import the MIDI, which I will play for you guys right now. Tell me if you know the name of this song.
Wait, that
But
doesn't
don't
sound
worry, guys.
quite right.
Don't worry.
Wait, that doesn't sound quite right. Oh, what's
Get it
wrong? Retro gaming, why don't you tell me? Oh, what's
I'll tell you
that?
why. It's because we don't have any of the instruments.
There we go.
Like magic.
Yep.
Like magic.
Yeah, it's magic. You can just load in this file, a DLS file, which contains all the sounds for the song, right into this little program in FL Studio called Fruity LSD. And that's basically the gist of it. DS is really easy to rip
It's awesome.
most of the time.
That's why
It's epic.
it is a good beginner. It is a good beginner system to rip.
100%.
If you're learning ripping, it is the best way to start out.
Yeah, guys, try making a DS rip today. Anyway, what game are we ripping?
The form says Pokemon Black and White.
Hey!
How can you
Hey! We've got it loaded up right
Thank
here.
you.
We've got it loaded up right here.
We do. Well, I'm going to just run through making this a little bit more accurate, and then we will be ready to go.
Yes.
Can we do legendary battle, please, 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 please?
We're doing Driftvale.
We're doing
We're ripping Driftvale City from
It's
the
good
hit
that we're
game.
it's good that we're already on it because now we can actually go into more detail about some of the other intricacies to Nintendo DS that you need to know as a beginner ripper.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to tell the fans
So
about
if we're going
DS?
through if we're going to be going through accuracy fixes now, first thing to do off bat is going to be
I'm just doing it.
I see
He's
you're fixing
doing
the
it.
DLS clipping, are you?
Yes, I am.
All right, DLS clipping. Let's get into how to explain this.
It's really interesting, guys.
So-
Get ready.
yeah. So essentially, whenever you load the base MIDI into FL Studio from wherever you get it, it tends to be very, very loud. Fruity LSD doesn't like loud things, so it will often cut off the louder parts, and it will give you a really compressed and not a lot of headroom. I believe is the best way to describe it. Like it's very closed in, not a lot of room for the frequencies to come out. So what you have to do to fix that is very simple. You turn everything down. You make it less loud.
Yeah, it sounds really simple. It is really simple, but it just makes it sound way better.
Yeah. You got to make sure to do it equally make sure all the channels are equally turned down because then you'll have wrong mixing and that's inaccurate.
Yeah, it just gets like super hard cut in the mix, and it sounds really kind of just crap. And there's you can hear a lot of buzzing and clicking in the audio.
Yeah.
But this just generally is like a very quick fix to get around that.
Yeah. Omni wants to talk about another part of the process.
I just wanted to say, like, exactly, give a little bit of like a explanation of how we even got to the point where we're able to hear Driftvale City with the tracks split in a modern digital audio workstation. So just very briefly, how we got here is because older consoles, right? They don't stream the audio to you. They're not like an MP3 player and they play the music. They'll save on hardware limitations, to save on storage space, to save on everything with Christmas and July, to save on the computational power needed to play this music back in the day. They would basically just program the samples. They load up the small, very tiny samples. Sometimes the samples are just math equations on how to create a certain sine wave or a triangle wave or etc. And then they would write basically like an Excel sheet that says this note at this time at that volume. Now, because it's engineered like that, we're able. There's a very, very, very good set of tools produced between the even as back as the early 90s until today. People are making tools that will allow us to take this data and basically extract it, or again, to use the term rip it from a digital dump of the game, a ROM file, if you will, a legal backup copy of your game. So you're able to extract the data, and because it is all just programmed, you're able to also rip the instruments and then reverse, kind of like convert it into a modern file, a sound font file, a DLS file like that we've just imported. And so you have the Excel sheet telling you which note to play at what volume at what time, and the overarching instruments that allow us to do this. And ripping a lot of times really relies on, as I said earlier, the stems, breaking down the song, reconstructing it funnily. So we'll have again, this software, FL Studio, taking a sound font file, slapping it onto the already converted MIDI, and that's how we got here to this window. And then the intricacies of each console, they just mentioned about being too loud, being too low volume. Maybe some of the instructions, for example, how I mentioned the GBA. I hate the GBA, man, God. But how the vibrato effects, for example, they're not quite right. There's a lot of manual tuning that is, the more you rip, the more you get the hang of. We actually have a complete complete guide of a guidebook. A starting kit, if you may, for ripping that has a lot of these intricacies explained and laid out, so people can you put stuff in your FL Studio this sounds like doo-doo. Well, what's wrong? You can kind of engineer from that. And then, do you want to go a little bit? Do you have? Do you want to go back to the rip, or I can explain a little bit more about the internal?
I can talk a little bit about the rip retro. So basically, what he's been doing is. He's adding a song. We're not going to say which one because it's going to be epic. But trust, it's going to be really cool.
Okay.
I think right now you're just editing the melody, sort of a music theory.
Can we get the desktop volume a bit up so everybody else can hear it?
Just a tiny little bit up, I guess.
Can you just boost your volume on?
It is at max.
Yeah. So
drag the slider in the upper.
Let's
left.
let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. We're gonna have the computer on 50. We're gonna have the computer 50 just for stuff. Yeah. Turn down the computer to 50. And stuff.
Okay.
Turn us up a little bit so we can just have leeway in terms of if we want to talk or not. Okay.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Is this a good volume?
Sounds good to me.
Awesome.
Yep, sounds good to me.
Do you want to? I could go into detail a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Also with doing the rips and stuff, it's really interesting to dive in and actually see how all the composers push to the different systems. Most retro games didn't have streamed audio. There is one on the Super Nintendo that does Revolution X by Aerosmith, and they only have 5-second clips of every song because that's all they could fit. There's certain things. There's the Toy Story on Genesis has a streamed kind of song too. There's
Action 52.
Oh yeah, those samples.
Connecting what Larry is saying to the rip that retro gaming is making right now, the bottom thing, you see all those lines, those represent basically velocity, which is basically the dynamics of the rip. So when you're playing on a keyboard, like a real piano, how fast, how hard you hit the keys affects the volume. And in this rip, you'll notice that it's kind of it looks like. Listen to
it. Sounding great so far, guys. Get ready.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
Doing it.
Yeah, it's all humanized, and it looks like it's being played on a keyboard. It probably was when it was sequenced. Whereas you'll go back to an SNES rip, and that's all being song. It's all being programmed, so the note lengths and the velocities are very uniform, unless they went in manually, made it seem, live.
The small touches like that, one thing that those small bits of accuracy can really sell a game. For Super Mario 64, that's one a lot of people toss the sound font at different songs for. But if you really look close at the original game files, you can tell that none of the notes properly line up on is like properly quantized. Like the snares are always a little late or a little early, and without that little bit of variation, it can sound. It really kind of robs the 64 sound out of its like kind of live band or sound. Or
when you're an audience making rips to an audience that we're all, I think, one of the very basic ground level that we have between the rippers and most of the audience, I feel we really know the video game music well. So you have to get the accuracy right, otherwise people notice.
Yeah, but even then, there's things you can do. Like you can kind of see how instead of just laying down the notes, they're taking the original melody and shifting it up and down. Something I usually do to get a good bass level is instead of just starting from blank, I take the lead from or the drums from Bob on Battlefield, throw it in, overlay it to whatever melody I want to change it to, like Sgt. Pepper, and then just start shifting the notes up and down. Because it's also not just getting the right notes. Like sometimes you have to be a little more staccato or a little like more stretched out. There's a lot more to style than just the instruments you're playing. Like because with video game music, it's just music. Like you can pick up a Hofner bass and a Rickenbacker guitar, but it doesn't mean you're going to sound like the Beatles until you get more of their actual like style into it.
Yeah, so that's like a big part of the ripping process for us. When we're making rips, we're really trying our best to keep the sort of original intent and style of the composer the best we can. And it can be really fun. Like sometimes composers have their own like ways of writing sequences and their own ways of articulating them. And it's a really fun part of the process to try and like capture that. It can be really rewarding, especially when we're making arrangements from complete scratch. We're like, what if like Koji Kondo made, I don't know, Thick of It, KSI? Like that can be so fun. So fun.
I think part of it is like, you know, at the end of the day, we're like, I know it's hard to believe, but a lot of us were just giant nerds. We just really love the video game music.
Yeah.
And I think part of the fun in SiIvaGunner and part of the approachability is you're going and you're playing this kind of what if game. You're playing this, what if a game, one of my favorite games of all time, made by one of my favorite composers of all time, had more tracks or had arrangements or had, you know, like a little bit more content, and being able, there's a very indescribable like threshold of when you cross over and you really sound accurate. It's so rewarding. I want to.
And sometimes with accuracy too, like for more complex riffs, sometimes you can pull from multiple songs from the soundtrack. Like because sometimes with like video game music, you have just like a short loop. But when I'm trying to do something like a song like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds that has like multiple sections, sometimes you have to just pull from 3 things. For the rip, like there's always the bait and switch element you want to get for SiIvaGunner, where you have the title, but people see the thumbnail and the thing, and you want it to start out like that. But like one I did, I think it's only on an album, but I took the Beatles song "I'm Down," and it starts out as "Player Down" from Mario 3, but it just has like the opening, that one little bit of melody, and then just jumps right into the whole the song, which mixes in some of the athletic theme, some of the overworld map.
This is like using a little bit of like a song or an idea as a platform to create homage to many different bands of the idea. I would like to talk a little bit about just to briefly say, so this approach to ripping is not the only kind of like way we use tools in the team. Some consoles, when we're not talking about a retro game, we're not talking about what's called a sequenced game, right? This is sequenced, right? As I said earlier, Excel sheet, punch in the numbers, punch in the notes and whatever, so you can reverse engineer it. But sometimes we're dealing with media that is a lot newer or that doesn't have a sequenced or split tracks available. Then what do you do then? What if I want to rip a PS3 song? Oh, okay. I'll just briefly say there's tools for that as well. I'll explain later.
Oh, on that, there is a question.
Got questions?
Actually, can we wait a moment?
Questions?
I need to show off something that's actually important for DS.
Retro gaming update. We have a retro gaming update. Everybody, please.
Welcome back, team. It's me
His
again.
attention.
Going live.
Okay, so this is one of the most important things about FL Studio when it comes to ripping literally like any game when it comes to pitch bends. FL Studio does not import pitch bends correctly at all. So we have this term that we created for this called the 600% rule. And basically what it is you want to go down to the control tab in the corner click on channel pitch, and you want to press Alt X.
Take notes.
Yep, take notes. This is really, very important. Multiply, and you want to do this 3 times. 200%, 200%,
Wow.
150.
That is amazing.
And that's the classic
that is amazing.
600% trick, guys.
The 600% trick. That's incredible.
And that is essentially how you fix pitch bends in FL Studio.
There you go. That was amazing.
We're just yapping for like 15 minutes about how important the accuracy and how hard it is to fine tune it. They're like, you take the slider and turn it down.
Yeah. You have to press the magic button. The magic button makes it all accurate. Okay.
Okay.
We have questions.
Well, okay,
Questions.
we had a question, and it was on that stream note earlier. So, Alem asks, what's the best way to get streamed music editable?
Okay, that's a good question. Just kidding. Magic's Vegas, haha. Just kidding. Basically, when you're talking about an already streamed complete file, then how do you approach it? Well, there's certainly a lot of ways. Going between tools that DJs and music producers have been using for years to kind of make their own remixes. I mean. By isolating, let's say, part of the frequency spectrum of a song. So, for example, if I have a song and I want to extract the bass, I look for a clean part of the song. Yeah. So when you go to like a specific part of the song, let's say I have like some like bass riff or whatever, I look for the part where it's like the most audible, the most like clean without any other instruments, and I can sample it from there. And then I can either put some filters on it. There's filters that basically cut off everything except for a specific frequency response. You go and you look at this like fancy graph and you see where the bass lands, because there's ways to inspect the frequency response of the track. You'll see where your bass is. You can isolate it by either filtering it out, EQing it out, and other methods.
We do have a whole lot of newer tools that are really good at separating tracks like vocals, bass. Even like newer things like piano have shown up recently.
Even newer like strings, wind instruments, guitars.
Yes.
And also something considered too is a lot of the tools they were using back in the day are stuff that are still available, like an M1 or Korg keyboard and stuff like that. There's a lot of
Those are synths.
Synths and like Paper Mario and a lot of these things. You can find spreadsheets where people just went through, be like, I recognize that slap bass. It is this, and then you can just recreate it from that.
And some people on team are really good at that.
Yeah.
They can instantly know like what company is made the sound that they're using.
It's also really worth mentioning that sometimes when it comes to like getting instruments to sound right, it can be enough if there's really no better option to just find a synth that sounds like, all right, close enough.
Something I usually do is when I'm trying to do the extraction, because usually when you're trying to get like a bass note or something out of a song, it sounds a little garbled. I'll take that, then take something that sounds similar and overlay them just to kind of fill out the sound more, but still push it in that direction. And also with knowing where sources come from, I guess one thing where it's easily accessible isn't the Soulja Boys all just FL stock stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Shout out Soulja Boy.
Yeah.
Soulja Boy.
Soulja Boy, tell them.
I would like to rapid fire some questions.
Okay.
Let's do some questions.
Some quick
we
questions.
Have short responses. Let's get through a few. Let's do it.
I saw a question earlier. What do you think is an underrated rip on the channel?
Ballad of the Windfish, Majora's Mask. It is a full arrangement of the Ballad of the Windfish song from Link's Awakening in jazz style. It is maybe my favorite rip on the channel. It's very underrated. Please check it out. It's awesome.
Got any ones from down there?
We have so many questions.
Oh, we gotta get through all.
I'm shouting out Ballad of the Windfish. I think that's the only shout out. All right, what's next?
Okay. I already did that one. Wait.
Number 7, is that the one up there?
Number 7?
One of them just says Granddad.
We got a granddad?
Yeah. Hey, I gotta say, every year this happens, all you rippers, and I know who you are, when you submit questions going like, lol, Flintstone. I know.
Wait, why aren't you reading? There's one that says
I just want to say the best thing that you to pull off is when you can bait someone else on the team. One time for the King for a Day tournament, we were having those directs, and our team, like a team of 10 of us, went in the corner, made a fake direct that was just like full of like joke announcements and stuff, and caught everyone off guard with it.
Honestly, when you bring up King for Another Day, I was looking at the questions, and someone did ask, Pope takeover? And to that, I say maybe. Let's.
Think about it.
And
May-
it's
and
coming tomorrow.
Yes. What else?
Get ready, guys.
Okay. Did I do favorite track game to rip? Let's get a favorite game to rip around
Favorite
this
game to
table.
rip.
Favorite game to rip.
I really like Sonic 2 or like the Genesis ones because
Yes.
like the Genesis.
So true.
It has that really like kind of like chiptune sound, but since there's a lot more layers, you can do a little more with the arrangement. Like
Yeah.
when you're doing NES, you're really trying to like crunch everything down to just like 3 notes playing at once.
I think those games have really fun styles to translate other songs into, like especially Sonic 3. I love ripping Sonic 3. I really love ripping Earthbound. Earthbound's epic. I like ripping Mother 3.
I gotta say, I
Yeah,
gotta go.
I was going to bring up Mother 3 is like Game Boy Advance games suck to rip. Nobody really likes to rip them. But Mother 3 is an exception because it has had resources for ripping for multiple years. And it is another good game to go to for a beginner.
Really fun set of instruments, really fun like style. I love Shogo Sakai. Like Mass Attack is
Twiddle.
awesome.
I love shows.
Speaking of beginners, where would you recommend beginners to go to learn how to rip?
I would recommend downloading the FL Studio demo and just learning how the software works. That is a good place to start. I think being able to navigate the software is great. That's my opinion.
we do also have we made a ripping guide. I'm not sure if it's currently live on the website right now, but also we've been doing MAGFest panels since like 2018 where we go through a lot more information. They're all archived on the channel, and our both the SiIva 2 I think has most of them.
I also want to mention our almost like holy scripture. You know, our holy literature is Zophar's domain.
Yes.
Yes.
Shout out
Shout out
Zophar's
Who
domain.
is that guy? Who is Zophar?
Zophar, thank you for everything if you're seeing this.
To explain that, it's a
Literally every day.
website that has like the extracted files from just about every game on there. Like
It's-
obscure arcade games I've never heard of, they're usually on there.
The thing is, because each console has its own proprietary set of chips and hardware and infrastructure, over the years, again, those tools from the 90s until today, they're developed by individuals who have to share them somewhere. Somewhere. Those are always like tiny little tools, and they tell you just using them, just like, not even if you want to make something, you don't have to make anything. You can just go and explore and look and download like these samples. You might get inspired. Just download your favorite game, download a tool that can separate the tracks and look at the samples and get funky with it. I don't know, just like
Here's
you
another
learn a
one.
lot just from that.
You can also do a lot even with just like a final MP3. Like a lot of my early stuff was just done in Audacity. I'd rip a song from YouTube and then just like cobble stuff together.
Okay, we got another one, and from Dark Rose, what do you think is the easiest console to rip? This one's easy.
Nintendo DS.
There we go.
Yeah, DS.
And DS is the easiest one ever.
Yeah.
It has a very well-made tool that is still getting updates. VGM Trans. Clap if you love VGM Trans.
Back in the day, it was
Five
all the
big
overload and
booms.
it's
Yes, and it gives you an almost perfect MIDI instantly, almost perfect sound font instantly.
Retro gaming is a beast. He is a master at FL Studio, but it took him 2 seconds to fix the things that you need to fix. It takes everyone 2 seconds. It's very, very easy if you know what to do.
Just a learning process. You get used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In general, with extracting instruments, I think like the overall like percussion can be often like the hardest thing, where sometimes you just have all these different snare and hi-hat samples, and it's trying to map it all to one channel where it's swapping between them. But there's always like different ways to get that.
And honestly, if you're like a little like kind of like overwhelmed by the complexity of digital audio workstations, Larry mentioned Audacity, free lightweight tool. If you get the older versions, please do get the older versions. The newer ones have a bunch of adware on it. The older versions you can always get. They're free. It's lightweight, easy to install. Drag your favorite track on it. Let it play for a little bit. Reminisce on why you like that track. Maybe you'll get an idea of like mash up Space Jam or something. Just don't do Space Jam. Anything is better. But like, you know, you kind of get the ideas. You play around. It's really all about experimentation and exploration. I think like that's a very good way to start. And like, and the DS being such an accessible one these days is just like kind of on top, you know.
like picking ideas, I always, with a rip, I always start just listening to the original song and humming a lyric over in my head. Last night we were trying to pick all the different songs to do for this one, and like I was cycling through, I was just listening to on YouTube, and I was like, maybe like start with Beatles because it's my usual go-to. I was thinking like the things we said today, and then eventually the one we picked on came into my head, and then everyone was like, yeah, I can see that, and then we all threw it together. It just sometimes the wires cross in your brain, and either sometimes it overlays well, or there's just one moment that syncs up really well to connect the two dots.
Sometimes they need to cross to get a good idea for rip, and sometimes none. They have to none of them cross. They have to be completely head empty, and then you come up with something funny.
Okay.
We have a new question.
Speaking of funny, we got a question from Zandoshi.
Shoutouts.
What's your favorite source to suffer through while ripping?
Well, wait, there were 2 options on the question.
Oh, there's 2 options?
Yeah, read the options.
It's Everyday Bro or The Thick of It.
Wow.
I like Everyday Bro is. I enjoy that one. Yeah, in 10 minutes.
Everyday Bro? Okay, yeah. Everyday Bro is mine too. It's fun.
I don't even know what these are. I'm old.
Definitely Everyday Bro.
Unk SiIvaGunner.
You know, what did he say? My colors stay poppin'? Yes, I can
And
rap.
rap,
And no, I'm not from Compton.
I did hear that
England
one.
is my city. Yeah, that's Everyday Bro.
Ooh.
It's Not Suffering. That one's epic. All right.
Okay, wait, we got a question about a specific console.
Okay.
Technical question.
Ooh. How would you rip N64? This is from multiple people.
Bray.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just cross your fingers
wait,
and hope the
Madden,
tool.
And N64, there,
N64.
yeah, N64. There's like some tools for extracting instruments, but a lot of the time they're either really messy. Like certain games, I think have like extra compression on the music, so you need like a special decompiler.
N64 also suffers from a similar DLS compression issue to DS. Really, the thing with N64 is it depends on the game. Some games
Yes.
will, like, I believe Ocarina of Time is like Ocarina of Time, Mario Kart 64, they're pretty good out the bat. Like, they're relatively decent. Ocarina of Time a little less so, but like Mario Kart 64, I'm used to working that game. It's easy, except for the percussion. The percussion is always a pain because you have to like remap it. You have to edit the DLS into a sound font. It's not bad once you get used to it, but it's
very
kind of
inconsistent.
A lot more
A tool-
tweaking. A lot more tweaking.
A tool I use, especially for getting like a drum kit in, is Polyphone. You can import a sound font, and it just shows you all of the samples, and you can remap it to everything you need.
Yeah, it's a good tool.
It's really good to getting like the drums to a MIDI standard. A big problem with N64 as well is a lot of the dumping tools just like you put in your legally acquired ROM, and it just spits out every single MIDI in the game. And sometimes it's just like in Mario 64, one of the you have to connect the instruments to the sequence, and in Mario 64, all of Mario's voice clips are an instrument bank.
I have an anecdote. There's
I'll just give you I'll give you guys a little bit of a tip right now. Just rip 64 DS. Just rip the DS game.
Going real quick. Never try to rip Wario's Wood SNES. They have some crazy proprietary compression method. It's not PCM like the rest. Everyone knows what I'm talking about, so that's fine. They don't have the sound properly at all. It's impossible to rip. That's the hardest one I think I've get.
Something like, again, nothing's impossible to rip. I think there was some weird ones where I just opened it up and what's that player like? There
N64 sound bank tool?
no,
or?
for Super Nintendo. There's like 8.
SPC 700
Yeah,
Play.
SPC. There's that one, and you
SPC
can
Play.
mute
Check it
channels
out.
and output it to wave. And I just like got the channel, picked out the sample, threw it into Polyphone to make a sound font out of the sample. Tried to get some of the loops and vibrato right. And there's always a way to do something. It's just how much of a pain in the ass.
I want to add on N64 ripping, something that's really funny about it is the tool, N64 Soundbank tool, has a bunch, I think they're like fan-made names. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like you'll go into like Ocarina of Time, and there'll be something like the Monkey Song, and I'm like, I do not know what that is.
The Monkey Song.
It's something like
Monkey
crazy.
Song.
And
Like
oh
these
my
fan-made
God.
names, and I don't know what they are. There's this tool, EB Mused, which is awesome. And I think it's also got like they're a lot more like comprehensive, but I think they're either fan-made names or they're different. There's a bunch of like difficulty with
They're
actually
fan-
all
finding the
communities
song.
who use-
They're
Yeah,
fan-made.
sometimes like one of the hardest parts could be just knowing what to title the rip, because sometimes it might be like player down or death. Just a lot of games don't have official names, but we have to name it something when we upload it to the channel.
Dude, Ultifonten is just track 1, track 2, track 3, track 4, man. Come on, man.
Yeah.
You could come up with something better.
I think some people in the team have been tasked with like renaming like 30 rips to something else just to update
Yeah.
it to the more common name.
Yeah, that reminds me of like a few days ago, I was looking through the files in the game. I think it's Harry Potter, like one of the Harry Potter DS games. And it's really funny to look in the files and see like what the developers named things.
That's
Like all of the sounds are in this file called Harry #4 DS, and it just adds some humanity to the dev team. I thought that was really funny. Got a good laugh out of me.
Okay, we got another question coming up here from Rue. What is a rip that made you laugh really hard? Ooh, 5 minutes.
I think this might be our last question, and then we'll hear the rip. But anyone got a really funny rip?
Got a funny rip?
a funny rip.
Yeah, there's this one where it's Slider, but it turns into Flintstones.
Oh yeah, true.
And that's the correct answer.
I have to bring it up. I brought it up on the last panel, but it's just too good. The number file, Luigi versus Donald Duck,
Oh yes,
Emma and Z, I believe. Man,
so good.
man.
There's a lot of good ones in the FNAF circus.
Oh, those
File as
are
well.
always shitposts.
That's your
Yeah.
grab bag.
I think
I think we're almost out of time, so we
Yeah,
might
let's-
need
let's-
to hear a rip soon.
yes.
I would like to shout out. There is a rip. It's not really a rip, but it's from April Fools a few years ago. There is a rip of a Direct, and it has Steve Jobs. Find that one. It's awesome.
Oh, yes, that one's amazing.
5 minutes. Can we get the?
All right. I think where are you at, Retro Gaming?
It's like I'd say 80% done, so I could probably just play it now.
Yeah, just play it now.
Let's hear this
Let's hear it
epic
live.
rip that has been made. Our friend Retro Gaming. Let's check it out.
Woo!
I have to press-
7 claps for 7 dads.
Let me just check.
I didn't count. I was being trusty on this.
And the unedited ending to close it out, guys.
Yeah. Woo! Round of applause for Retro Gaming.
Look forward to seeing that on
Give
the
it up.
channel.
That's coming. That's gonna bait someone on YouTube just
The
trying
master.
to find normal
The
music too
master.
soon.
Coming to your search results.
Add Granddad. Add Granddad.
I can add Granddad. We're getting Granddad to fade out, guys.
Wait.
Closing words.
Go ahead, guys. I'll just mute.
Right. So, basically, what I would like to encourage people to do, you see how kind of easy once you get the hang of it, once you get the ideas on how to
guys.
do it. I believe that I would like to say what I personally like to do with these panels. I hope to inspire people to pick up and try it because again,
look at Major Key on
it's very accessible. There's a team. Our team is really big to the point where it's like a community channel.
I know.
Yeah, with it, really just you don't need to know anything about music to pick up on these things. I brute force learned music theory by ripping apart songs, and I just over time learned chords or weird techniques. One of the best ways to learn art is imitation, and just you're with this taking two things you love, combining it together, and seeing how just all of the shared language of music and how different people do things and all the things you could do.
I love I don't like the word imitation. We like to use the word derivative here. There was a couple
Homage.
people in the elevator going, "That's so derivative." I'm like, I'm gonna use that.
There is because also with the mashup, there is always like the third element of you are the one doing the assembly. It's not just taking two things and doing it together. Like always on the team, there's ones where you just every different rippers have different like tells that it's them. Like always, like I guess either just consistent sources, things they always use, certain timings.
Mines are always mixed not well. That's my signature move.
We love mixing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like a lot. The team is very varied. I mean, I don't even do music. I'm a video editor, man. That's why I do stuff in Sony Vegas. We have, it's the accessibility is very important for us to show up. So we'll hopefully inspired anybody here. So, woo, yay!
Yeah, all these tools are just out there. You can just pick them up and like the thing that really drove me beyond is just I wanted like accuracy, and it's just I remember back in 2015 there was a lot of like GXSCC MIDI slaps, and I was just like, yeah, those are this isn't how these games sound, and I want
dark days.
We need retro gaming to play us out.
Play us out.
Yes.
He has done the impossible and added. Well, you're gonna see. You
What
might have
did
an
he add?
idea
You
of what
guys
he has
gonna
done. It's awesome.
And yes, it's off key, and no, I don't
That's
care.
the show.
Thank you, everybody, for coming to the panel.
Thank you guys.
You
You
guys
guys
are
were awesome.
Have a great MAGFest.
Put in Flintstones and you get a standing
Thank you,
ovation.
MAGFest, for
2 p.m.
letting us-
Chip Space. 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. We're playing bangers.
There's
Thank you guys
Chip Space
so
2 to
much.
4 over there, and then we also have a set in Pose at 8.
We're opening
Hold on
up
that
Pose
too.
at 8, and then our great team is going to be also playing for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
Come through. We're going to dance.
Yeah.
Be there.
Totino's
Be there.
being live at
square.
Chip
Be
Space 2
square,
to
guys.
4.
I'm serious.
Subscribe, hit the bell.
Yeah. See our Twitter,
us
Twitter,
only
Star
on
Scott,
the
everything
app.
for more updates.
Only 100% of our viewers are subscribed.
Yeah, and there's also the merches at Chip Space as well.
Off team.